All right, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome today to our lunch club, Finding Financing. Um, we're excited to offer these webinars free to you once a month. And we really appreciate our presenters who are here today. First of all, I'd like to tell you a little bit about the Small Business Development Center and the services that we offer. So there are small business development centers all over the United States, and we're one of six centers in our region, the Northwest Texas region, and we provide business consulting and market research free of charge. We also have business operations related training. So things like QuickBooks, how to market, um, business basics, startup, and those kind of things are some of the trainings that we offer. So, and then we have lunch clubs like this. So any hot topics that are, hitting businesses at the time, we try to reserve lunch club for those kind of things. And we keep it nice and short. We want you to have something that you can take away and use immediately. And we value your time as well. So our panel today is a group of experts in some different business and lending areas, and they're going to share some different types of financing with you that are available for small business owners in our region. And up first is our SBDC director, Gina Woodward. Gina?
Thanks, Randy. We've got different topics today to help you figure out which type of financing is right for you. One thing I want you all to keep in mind as we go through these options today, don't feel like you have to pick just one. It's very common to package multiple types of financing together, so take good notes on all of these. You may use them all. What I want to talk about for a little bit today is microloans. In particular, the microloan that is housed at the Panhandle Regional Planning Commission, our sister department with the WT Enterprise Center here at the College of Business helps manage that, kind of package those loan applications. So I just want to quickly go over those details. We do have a lot of applicants that will apply for this loan, and that's all the financing that they need. But one other thing that I want you to keep in mind is it's not uncommon for a commercial lender to package this as part of a larger deal. We've done that where maybe the applicant just didn't have quite enough equity to satisfy the commercial lender, and they considered this loan to be equity. So you may end up with a financing deal that's packaged in a unique way. The first thing to know about this particular microloan, the maximum amount that we can do on that is $40,000. Pretty much all lending that you're going to hear about, there's usually some kind of fee associated with that. And that's just for our time putting that together. And then there's always some legal fees to draw up those contracts. There's no such thing as free money, unfortunately. With the microloan, you will pay a $1,200 fee for packaging, and then they charge 3% just to help cover the legal costs for drawing up your contract. Do the next slide, Brandy.
Not cooperating. There we go.
There we go. So who qualifies that and how do you use these funds? So these funds with this particular microloan are intended specifically for small businesses, and there are actually two pools of money. Both pools of money carry with them the same rules with the exception of who qualifies to apply for them. One pool is specifically for business owners in Potter and Randall counties in that Amarillo MSA. I can tell you right now that fund's got about $80,000 left in it. We've done a couple of loans recently, and we do have a couple in the pipeline, so it may be temporarily exhausted. But as those loans that we have made, as they repay them, that interest and principal goes back into the pot, so we'll be able to do additional loans in the future. The other pot of money is for small business owners in the Panhandle who are outside of Potter and Randall counties. So in those 24 counties, you're eligible to apply for this separate pot, and that one's got a significant amount of money in it. So if you're outside of Amarillo and are thinking about a microloan, we would especially like to talk to you. Next slide. Thank you. So I wanted to talk just very briefly about who qualifies for this microloan, and this is applicable in a different way to the other financing that you're going to hear about in just a little bit. When we're talking about financing, there's 5 C's of credit that you look at, whether you're doing a loan, a line of credit, whatever that is that we're thinking about with those applicants. The first 3, your capacity, that's your ability to repay. Everybody's going to look at that. Like, are you cash flowing enough? Can you make that payment? We all have to be able to check the box on that. The other 2, we're looking at the capital. What's your net worth? What is the net worth of the business? And then the market conditions. Perhaps it's what's the condition of your industry. Is it an industry that's growing? Is it an industry that's declining? If you are applying for a traditional commercial loan, and Rigo will speak more to this later, all 5 of those are perhaps equally as important. For the micro loan, though, and I am on the committee for the micro loan, I'll tell you that we look really, really hard at the last 2 C's. That's your collateral. That's what kind of tangible asset do you have to back that loan? We are processing those loans. Say you want a piece of equipment, that piece of equipment is $40,000. If we feel like the equipment is going to hold its value, that is your collateral to back that loan in the event that you have to close the business and can't repay that. If it's a traditional lender, they may want that loan to be fully collateralized, meaning that you have something of value that's worth 100% of the loan amount. One of the things that we're very thankful for with this microloan program, it's intended to help the very small businesses get started, perhaps people who don't have a whole lot of experience in business, but we feel like you have a solid plan. We don't have any rule in place that requires 100% collateral. We absolutely want some collateral, but we're able to look at loans that are not fully collateralized. Huge benefit to you, and that's difficult to find. The other thing that we look really, really hard at is your character. What is your reputation as an individual, not even as a business owner? We're actually closing on a loan this week. We had the committee meeting last week, and before we even sat down and the committee went through all those documents, the first thing that everybody mentioned was that they were familiar with this applicant. They knew how hard he had worked to build his business. That sold them on doing that loan. Obviously, later on, we did still look at collateral, but his character is really what carried that loan application. So that's very important to us. Next slide. The use of funds. So what can you do with the funds? Again, the intent of this microloan is to help small business owners who may not qualify for loans elsewhere. So you can do just about anything that you need to do with that. But what we most commonly see is somebody that's either buying a tangible asset. We really love those because, again, those are collateral just in case you decide to close the business. We do lots of equipment. We can do vehicles. On occasion, we'll do land. We can even do real estate. The one that we're closing on this week includes a small shed, portable shed, that's going to be moved onto the property. So we can look at that. And then your operating expenses, those can be a little more difficult to finance with a traditional commercial loan because there is no collateral value. We are much more willing to look at this with a microloan, and that's where you'll commonly see the microloan paired with a commercial loan. We can use that to finance the operating expenses. So this may be your payroll, your rent, your utilities, but it's all intangible expenses that you probably have on a recurring basis. The terms, there's a lot of wiggle room here as well, thankfully, because we really want to make it work for the applicants that we believe in. We will typically go up to 20 years max, but that's only if there's real estate involved. And when I say real estate, for the portable building, we probably wouldn't do 20 years on a portable building. But if you are buying land or if you're buying fixed real estate, we can go up to 20 years. If you're buying equipment, if it's covering operating expenses, which is more common with this loan, we're typically going to look in the 5 to 7 year range. They are low interest. That's another benefit of housing this micro loan at the PRPC. Right now, I think prime is sitting at 7.5. we'll usually go within 2% of that. I think the one that we're closing tomorrow, the committee agreed to just go 1% above prime, so he'll have 8.5. Application process, again, this is another benefit of the microloan. It is a very simple application process, and I think the main reason it's so simple is we don't want a full written business plan. If you've ever done a full business plan, you know those can end up being, 10, 15, 20 pages long, and not that they aren't worthwhile, but for this, we've just got a short application with some preset fields that you'll fill out and return back to us. The committee does ask that you do full 3-year financial projections with the SBDC, so we're there to help you along with that. Typical for pretty much any loan application, if it's an existing business, we will want to see 3 years of tax returns for the business and for you personally, as well as 3 years of profit and loss statements and a current balance sheet. Also typical of any other financing, we'll need to see a personal financial statement. If you've never done one of those, it's basically a balance sheet for yourself. We want to see what's your mortgage balance. Do you have personal credit cards outstanding? What do you owe? And that's just because we're looking at you personally to see if you do decide to close the business down, that's your choice. Would you be able to continue to make this payment and see what kind of position you're in? The very last thing that we do when you apply for this is pull a credit report, just because it is a hard hit on your credit. Anybody with 20% or more ownership in the company is required to submit to that, and we do that here in-house. It's not one that you provide. And then just depending on what you are getting the loan for, we may require some additional documentation. For the one that we're closing on tomorrow, he wants that portable building. There's also a couple of large pieces of equipment that he's buying. So we needed to have a quote for those to see the specs on it. Just make sure that he's buying real things is the concern. And then last slide, how to apply. There is not any kind of closed or open application period, so long as there's funding available in either one of those pots, the Amarillo MSA or rural, you can apply for that. At the WT Enterprise Center, Miranda Perez collects all of that information, and you can email her at miranda@wtenterprisecenter.com.
Thank you, Gina. Appreciate that very much. Up next, we have Rigo Zapata with Amarillo National Bank.
Hi, everyone. So like Brandy said, Rodrigo Zapata, I also go by Rigo for short. I have been with Amarillo National Bank for 12 years now. This February coming up, it'll be 13 years. So time definitely flies by. Next slide, Brandy. I'm located at 34th and Coulter, inside this beautiful building next to Palace Coffee, and then also American Land Title is located in the same building as ours. So we can definitely help y'all guys with the loan on a building, help you out with the loan on one side, and then you would just walk over, get some coffee, and then walk over to American Land Title, and then get the keys to that new building. So anytime y'all guys want to stop and visit, let us know. A little brief history about Amarillo National. We've been here since 1892. We are one of the first ones that brought the ATM to Texas and also the drive-up window. So just a few little histories on there. We did acquire Commerce National Bank in 2019, and that gave us the opportunity to expand into Fort Worth, College Station, San Antonio. So we're now just in Amarillo. We're now a part of the Lower Texas. Next one. Okay. And some of the things that I wanted to talk about is your financial documents. Gina was well detailed on what documents we need: personal financial statement, projections. All of those lenders would need those documents to be able to better understand your business. And that way, that also tells us the health of your business and exactly what you need to take your business to the next level. And on our end, we do traditional lending, where traditional lending, our sweet spot is that 2-year mark. Under 2 years, there's different financing. You'll meet different lenders, different individuals that are able to offer different products. So for us, anything on under 2 years, our hands are tied. But once you reach that 2-year mark, that's whenever it's that sweet spot, and we're able to step in. At that 2-year mark, it's able to tell us how your business has done for the past 2 years, and we're able to do an analysis on going backwards and then going forward to see how your business is going to do in the future 2 years. And then it also gives us an insight of how it did in the past 2 years. And when it comes to traditional lending, there's different products that we offer. Equipment financing, this would just be a straight loan. We also can take inventory and account receivables as collateral. Amarillo National Bank is asset-based, so we can do loans that are unsecured. Up to 10,000, anything over 10,000, we will require some type of collateral. And with that 10,000 mark, you would also be looking at having a credit score of 730 plus. And then going back to Gina on the 5 Cs, one of those, the one that she highlighted was character. Whenever we pull your credit report will let us know a lot about you before we're even able to meet you in person. So your credit report, work on it. It is going to let us know a lot about your character. We also work on acquisition loans. An acquisition loan is to buy out a business. A beautiful one that I did recently was I helped a family purchase another family-owned business that was established in the 60s. And this family had the opportunity to buy them out and now start their own legacy with that new business acquisition. So we can definitely help on those. We do agricultural loans, business lines of credit, letters of credit, and business owner occupied real estate, where that's our bread and butter, business owner occupied. We will sometimes do a one-off on an investment property, but like I mentioned, our bread and butter is the business owner occupied. And what is business owner occupied? Let's just say that maybe you started in your garage or a small building where now you're leasing it and you outgrew it. So we'll help with either doing a construction loan to build your new home base or to purchase an existing building. So we have different loan products that are able to meet our customers' needs. But the biggest thing would be being in business 2+ years. That would be our sweet spot. So I would highly recommend anyone, even if you are under 2 years, definitely reach out to us so you could pick our brain, we could pick your brain, give you some ideas. That way, whenever you do reach the 2-year mark, we're able to step in and help your business. I think that's if y'all guys have any questions or anything, my information is on here. So I do advise, please reach out to me. That way we could have a one-on-one and I could help you and your business get to the next level.
Thank you, Rodrigo. I appreciate that. Up next, we have Tracy Shea, who is the Business Development Officer with Access Federal Credit Union. Oh, you're muted.
There we go, much better. Thank you all for joining in today. Today, we are going to talk about a unique line of credit for small businesses in Amarillo. It's the semi-secured line of credit, and we'll get into the explanation. Here we go. Next slide, please. So first, we're going to talk a little bit about what a line of credit is, distinct from term loans and credit cards. So as you can see by this graphic, a line of credit kind of sits in the middle between those two. And sometimes it shares a characteristic with the credit card. Sometimes it shares a characteristic with the term loan. And so those characteristics are the beginning and the end of the borrowing period. With a term loan, it's fixed from the beginning to the end. You know exactly how long you're going to be paying and how much you're going to be paying. With a line of credit and a credit card, then you don't necessarily know how long it's going to be, because that depends on how much you're using the line of credit, meaning how much you're borrowing and how much you're paying it back. So it's kind of flexible like a rubber band. The next one is the the term. If we cover that, the fixed payment amount. The third thing that where the characteristics go back and forth is on a term loan, you have to make a payment every month until that loan is paid off. They may offer a skip a pay once in a while if that's available at your institution, but your responsibility is to make that payment every month. With the line of credit, similar to a credit card, is you only make a payment when you're carrying a balance. And so if you use the line of credit to purchase something and then you pay that off, then you don't have to make a payment until you start to use it again. And those top three, those are pretty similar. When you start to look at this particular line of credit we're going to talk about today, is there are no fees or closing costs for having the line of credit. So there's no packaging fee. There's none of that. There's no legal fee. Well, if you're approved for the line of credit, it just sits in the background and it's available money that you can borrow as you need it. For a term loan, those fees are all calculated. Those are called closing costs. And then for a credit card, even though people don't think they're going to pay them, you usually end up paying fees and penalties at some point in time. And as far as credit is concerned, on a term loan, you're looking at a low to moderate interest rate, but you need good credit. With the line of credit, it's a low to moderate interest rate, but you don't necessarily need as good a credit. And the credit card is you typically need reasonable credit, but you're definitely going to pay more for that money. It's a high interest. And so the thing to consider about lines of credit is they're somewhere in the middle between a term loan and a credit card, in case you haven't dealt with them before. So what's a line of credit for? This line of credit that we're talking about today is designed to empower very small businesses to buy equipment or inventory. So if you need to grow, then you need to have stuff to sell or services to provide, and sometimes that requires equipment. And that is exactly what this is designed for. It's also designed to provide what we call the right-sized capital. So many institutions don't want to lend small amounts to businesses. The last I've heard, most institutions, banks or credit unions won't go down below $50,000 for a small business loan. If you don't need that much, then you don't have to have that much. We've designed this to be for a much smaller level, and it's designed to provide small businesses with flexibility, so you can make small payments and protect that budget. And then if you have more money, you make a big sale, then you can make a larger payment when you can afford to make more. So it gives you more flexibility in the amount you pay. And the last reason that this is designed for is to help small businesses experience the credit union difference. Credit unions are nonprofits by design, by legal requirement. And so we give back to the community. And so we have a different take on lending. Next slide, please. So I'm going to start, before I jump into the details of how it's structured and how you apply. This is a typical situation where the Access Small Business Line of Credit can help you grow and reduce your headaches. So let's say that you have a checking account, you got $500 in your checking account, and you got $5,000 on your line of credit. You find an amazing deal from a supplier, you can get $5,000 worth of stuff for only about $2,000. So you want to jump on that. You go out of town to buy your stuff, and your truck breaks down. I've got an old truck, it's real, it happens. So if you had this line of credit sitting behind your checking account, you could swipe your debit card to pay the mechanic, and that's going to take out your $500 in your checking account. And then with the same with the same debit card, you can swipe again when you get to your supplier. You can pay that $2,000, and now you have a $2,000 balance on your line of credit. Your checking account is zero, but you're not overdrawn. And so you have a $3,000 available to spend on your line of credit. And for that typical transaction, that situation, your payment would only be $40 a month. That's 2% of your outstanding balance. And the next time you put money into your checking account, it doesn't go to pay your line of credit. It's available for what your business needs. And so this is a specifically designed program that sits behind your checking account. So that's just a typical scenario where we see people using this line of credit. And so this is what this is kind of in a nutshell what it looks like. So these are the line of credit can be approvals for up to $10,000. It does require a 4% security deposit, and I'll cover that in a second. As I mentioned, it's available via a checking account and a debit card. The interest on this loan is lower, or this line of credit is lower than what you would pay on a credit card. And if you don't have a payment, there's no balance. So that is a huge factor where people like to have this for the additional flexibility when a good deal comes along, or when an unforeseen expense comes along, they've already got that approval in place sitting there. And as I mentioned, the minimum payment is just 2% of your outstanding balance, or $25, whichever is greater. And so here's how you apply. But first, we wanted to cover who it's available for. This is for sole proprietors, LLCs, LLPs, corporations, and also for nonprofits. And so if you run a nonprofit, or you know somebody who does and they need cash flow, then we're available and we can help them as well. You can apply on our website, or you can come into a branch. So personal credit report is going to be required. That's going to be industry standard for everywhere you go. They're going to want to look at your credit to make sure you, as the individual standing behind this loan, can repay. Now, a personal guarantee is required for the owners, and so that's a personal financial statement. And if you have business financials and you've been in business for a while, we will look at those and consider those. But the personal guarantee is always going to be required, no matter how big or small your business is, unless you're borrowing from an online lender who just gives out money in exchange for incredible interest rates. Then you're always going to have to stand behind that. Our target is good credit plus 1 year in business. And so our friends at A&B are looking at 2 years in business. We're looking at 1 year in business. We all have our place to play in the ecosystem, but that's what we're looking for. And if you have bruised credit, then we have options available for you as well. Okay, so how the security deposit works. This is what's a little bit different in the line for our line of credit, is because we are taking a bit more of a risk on some smaller businesses, or businesses that have not had the opportunities to succeed as much yet. There's an unknown factor in there. And this is our way of covering our security risk. And so it's 4% of the amount that you get approved for. So if you're approved for $10,000, that means we're going to ask you to put $400 into a savings account. You're going to earn interest on that savings account. It's still your money. The only time we would ever touch that money is if you miss a payment. So if you always make your payments on time, then that security deposit will continue to grow and earn interest. But if you miss a payment, then we will use part of that money to cover your minimum payment, and the rest will stay in there. If you miss a payment, then we're going to lock down the account until you put money back into your security deposit, your savings account, and get it back up to that 4% threshold. And that's, like I said, that's just our risk coverage, because even though you may be a trustworthy person, we don't know you personally, and we haven't had a chance to see your business succeed yet. So that's how we can afford to take a little bit more risk, is by having this deposit. And so using it, I already mentioned this a little bit, but the way it works is you'll have a checking account, and then behind that checking account is this line of credit. As long as there's money in your checking account and you're using that debit card for day-to-day purchases, your line of credit is invisible and you're not using it. But the moment that you go below zero, instead of charging you an overdraft fee, what happens is your line of credit kicks in and it covers that purchase for you. And so once you're approved, then there's no additional approval required. You don't need a letter. You don't need permission. You don't need to go into the branch and tell us. You just swipe and go. And so the question is this line of credit for you? If you have periodic cash flow shortages, if you're trying to build credit, if you don't need a large loan and a large payment, if you're trying to pay less interest and penalties and fees, and if you don't mind keeping a little bit of money in a savings account so you always have enough to make your payment, then this may be a good fit for you. And so If you're still feeding your business from personal income, whether you use our line of credit or something else, you need something in place to make sure that if your personal income takes a hit, you've got cash to feed your business until your personal income can get up and running. Many small business owners continue to pay themselves out of their back pocket or feed their business out of their personal income. And that's okay for a period of time. But as your business grows and as you want to add sophistication to your business, you need something in place to help with that and to even out those cash flow spikes. So the question I would ask you is, if that happens to you, if you lose your income next month, what's your plan? How are you going to protect the cash flow in your business while still paying for your family essentials? Because that's more important. So we don't want you to get in that place where you're struggling personally as well as in the business. So have something to help. And if you don't know the answer to those questions, it may be time to visit your personal and business budgets, and the SBDC can help you with that, or we offer a budgeting class we'd help you with as well. And so if this is for you, then you can hit that QR code. I imagine Brandy's going to send these slides out later, or you can just go to the website. And this is my contact information. I'm not a loan officer. I'm the business development officer, but I love working with small businesses. Be more than happy to help you with anything I can. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tracy. Appreciate that very much. All right. Up next, and I'm sorry guys, if you've had any questions, you can type them in the chat, or we'll have a Q&A session at the end. I didn't think about pausing there for a little bit, especially to catch Gina before she had to leave. But let us know if you have any questions. We can get the answers. So up next we have Quentin Marquez with City Federal Credit Union. And we've caught him on the go, so he might not be on video, but he's here with us today. Oh, there you are. Thanks, Quentin.
Can you see me?
Yes.
Hello, how's everybody doing today? Can you hear me okay? Hold on
Good.
Yeah, we can hear you.
second.
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, now I hear you too. Well, how's everybody doing? My name is Quentin Marquez. I am the marketing manager for City Federal Credit Union. We are the only CDFI, Community Development Financial Institution, in the Texas Panhandle as far as credit unions go. And I wanted to talk on just our community development here in Amarillo. We are CDFI, so we work with you. We recognize, what that means as a CDFI is that we enable sustainable economic independence to build a strong future. Stable family units, stable credit, stable employment, stable income, stable housing, and a bright future. So what that means is that City Federal, one of our biggest select employee groups is the City of Amarillo, and they designated 4 neighborhoods in Amarillo: San Jacinto, the Vadio, East Ridge, and North Heights. And so we kind of made it our mission to really go into those areas and help out, whether that be with the financial services or products specifically for those areas. So if you happen to be a business in one of those areas, we'd love to do business with you, whether that be a business account or small business loans. We do from up to $50,000 for a person for their business. And what I really want to talk about today is just having a great relationship with your financial institution, whether that be a credit union like myself or Tracy's, or A&B with the Rito. Having a good relationship with your financial institution, with your business right off the bat, really helps you for later on goals that you might need for growing your business. And so here's my information right here. If you ever want to talk about either marketing your business, doing business with myself or Tracy or Rito, or anybody, any other financial institution, I'm the president of the Amarillo Chapter of Credit Union. So if you're part of a credit union, we can get you with them and talk to those folks. But there's my information right there. And yeah, we just want to be there to help you grow your business.
Thank you, Quentin. Appreciate you joining us on the move today. So,
Yeah.
all right, everybody, that concludes our presentations. Are there any questions? We still have Tracy, Rodrigo, and Quentin with us. If you have questions, you can unmute yourself and ask the question or type it in the chat, either way. Sorry, if you were having trouble unmuting yourself, I just changed the settings so that you can. Doesn't look like we have any questions so far unless somebody's having trouble unmuting. I don't see any hands raised either. Well, thank you guys so much for presenting today. We appreciate you joining us. We thank you also for being valuable members of our community and, helping develop businesses in our region. And we couldn't do it without you. And so we're very pleased to have a partnership with you guys and have you join us in this endeavor. So helping small businesses grow and prosper in our region is very important to us. With that, I'm gonna see if I can send out a poll. Let me see if it'll let me do it. No, not right quick. Oh, Tracy, did you have something you wanted to say? Okay, go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry. That
There we go.
I hit
That's
the
what I
wrong
wanted you to
button
know.
and I
Yeah.
muted everybody. I'm so
We
sorry.
couldn't unmute just in case somebody had a question. The technology was working against us.
Yes, it was me, not technology.
Okay. I was giving you a pass. That's okay.
Oh, thank you.
But if not, I want to say thank you for hosting and for having us. Love working with the SBDC.
Thank you. Okay, we will send out a follow-up email, and if they'll allow me, I'll share their slides and their contact information. So if you have any questions, feel free to follow up with them. Everybody is willing to work with you and answer any questions that you might have. If you'd like to schedule an appointment with one of our consultants, reach out to me at brandy@wtsbdc.com, or our general email is info@wtsbdc.com. and ask to schedule an appointment with one of our consultants and we'll get you set up. So usually how that works is we email you a link to sign up as a client and then a link to our consultants' calendars so that you can see what times are available and pick the time and day and the format that works best for you. So they can also do meetings online over Zoom as well if you're not able to make it into our Amarillo office. And something that's not well known is that we have rural consultants. So we have Maricela Nanez, who services the western half of the Panhandle and the southern row of counties like Swisher, Castro, Briscoe, those counties. And then we have Annie Sandifer, who serves the eastern half of the Panhandle. So they can meet with you in person in your community or online as well. And you do not have to drive all the way to Amarillo to get some assistance. So we're glad to be able to offer that to you. And with that, I'll close it up. So thank you guys. We appreciate you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.